days ago, Tucker Carlson did an interview with Conor McGregor, who is a ultimate fighter. He's a member of, or was a member of the UFC. And I have to cover this for so many different reasons because it is not subtle at all. And at this point, if you believe that people like Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, Benny Johnson, Alex Jones, that these aren't government operatives, then you will probably believe anything at this point because they're not even being subtle about who their allegiance is to. And if any one of these people does an interview inside of a Freemasonic lodge and you don't wake up and you don't say that they're compromised, then it's on you. If you ever think for 1 second that someone like me, that if I actually decided to go out there in public and reveal myself and grow my following the way it used to be, and I said, I'm going to interview so-and-so, and I was inside of a Freemasonic lodge, I would expect you to come up to me, wait outside, and punch me in the face, and call me a shill, and call me COINTELPRO. You think that Tucker Carlson isn't aware of Freemasonry and secret societies, and how most conservatives are awake to these secret societies? Now, they might not call and scream at the Freemasons and the Eastern Star the way that I do, but most of them are aware of how secret societies work and operate. Obviously, the tentacles are long and they're extravagant, and I'll show you how Tucker Carlson is connected to some other secret societies. But for anyone that doesn't know about COINTELPRO, I've broken this down lots of times over the years from very obvious government operatives like Russell Brand, who, if you're actually falling for that, I don't know what to tell you. When people come out of Hollywood and then they're put in front of your face as a face of a truth movement, and you don't understand that COINTELPRO is a movement that they claim, just like MK Ultra, they claim the government stopped doing in 1971, that the FBI was infiltrating movements to discredit and disrupt American political organizations that the FBI perceived as subversive. Well, we had a truth community. For those of you that don't know, there was lots of us screaming about all these things that happened eventually, like the outbreak that occurred in 2020, warning people about it, warning people about these underground things that now the government has taken and created their own fictional ones, like the Guy's Island that everyone seems obsessed with when we were all talking about places like McMartin or these pizza parlors where people were openly posting pretty graphic photos that if your neighbor posted them, you would call the police on them, right? So the government obviously saw this movement and then they created their own. They deleted everybody off the platform. Anybody with a following was no longer allowed to have one. You might have to rebrand yourself if you even want to speak on some of these platforms, and thus you'll lose your following altogether. And then they'll substitute in all these faces like Russell Brand and Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire and Matt Walsh, and they'll talk about things that tickle your ears, right? Hearing about how crazy it is that people are having their kids switch gender. Well, any sane person would find that, that type of stuff insane. So they give you Matt Walsh, they give you some of these documentaries, they get you on board, and they just bring you in and control the information flow without giving you actual truth, without actually exposing things like Freemasonry, Eastern Star, DeMolay, secret societies, how it all works, because they're part of the same secret societies. That's COINTELPRO. And Tucker Carlson literally sat inside of a Freemasonic lodge. You can see it for yourself. Not hard to see that they're in a Freemasonic lodge. In fact, it's not a conspiracy. It's not just some random place. Obviously, you can see the pillars on the side. You can see the pyramids above the doors, the basic things we see in all Freemason lodges. But even the Masonic Lodge of Ireland had to come out and say something. They said they apologized for hosting Conor McGregor interview at Dublin Hall. So it proves that they were in a Masonic lodge. And of course, they were trying to say, well, the whole thing was just one big misunderstanding because they don't want you to wake up to the fact that Tucker Carlson is one of them. They want you to think that you could rent out a Freemason lodge. Yeah, you could rent it out. Have your kid's birthday party there maybe this year. Have your own satanic rituals inside the lodge. So apparently that's what they want you to believe, is that people could rent it out. Tucker Carlson wanted to rent it out for the interview, just not knowing that, oops, Freemasons are devil worshippers. I didn't know that, says Tucker, right? Ivy League school born, right? Wears that bracelet on his wrist, which I'll get into in a few minutes, the same one that's connected directly to Freemasonry, right? So right off the bat, you get a massive Freemasonic handshake. If that's not enough for people out there, it's hard for me to really wrap my head around people who see these handshakes and think that they're actually normal handshakes. Now, you could debate what type of handshake is it. This, to me, looks like the lion's paw, based on where you could see Conor McGregor's hand underneath Tucker Carlson's wrist, right? The hands are going to the wrist. The fingers are reaching the wrist. This is not how you would shake hands with the plumber when he comes to your house to plunge your toilet, or this is not how you would shake hands with somebody you're going to meet somewhere or at the bank or wherever you might go and you might shake someone's hand. This is not the way that you would shake someone's hand. This is obviously a Freemasonic handshake, and they don't care anymore because they've trained people out there to say, that's not a Masonic handshake. It looks normal to me because I like to watch Tucker Carlson, even though he used to be a Democrat on CNN for most of his life. Then he flipped to a conservative. He can't be controlled media, just like Trump was a Democrat for all those years and now is conservative, or RFK or Tulsi Gabbard, all these people that we like, right? Like that tweet that Elon Musk put out and said, look, the Democratic Party did win the election because all the people who were the face of Trump's campaign are all Democrats, just like Donald Trump is. They're all globalists pretending to be Christian conservatives, right? So during the interview, you can see Conor McGregor doing the triangle of power with his hands, another symbol that constantly just people give a free pass to now because they say, well, that's just a natural way to hold your hands when someone's speaking to you. Well, I never have done that. I speak to people all the time, right? I'm not holding my hand like that, just like I'm not holding a 666 up over my eye like these celebrities are. It's very, very clear this is triangle of power. Trump does it all the time too. But of course, since Trump does it, most of these people don't want to accept it as a symbol of the occult, just like Trump's MAGA symbol, the 666. They say that doesn't mean that. It means A-OK, right? There's nothing to do with it, right? So Tucker Carlson, obviously, we see him so many times wearing that red Kabbalah bracelet, right? Over and over and over. He does not hide it. He has lots of photographs where you can clearly see it. He even has this one where you can see it prominently on his wrist, where he's also doing the sign of a Mark Master Mason with his index finger pointed at the side of his temple. That is another Freemasonic gesture that you'll see on magazine covers, in photo shoots, stage pictures like this. Of course, we see so many of these symbols, including the vow of silence that I constantly show you, where all these celebrities put a finger up over their lip, or even where they put their hand prominently on their chin, like his father does. His father, of course, a government asset, no secret there. Just like Tucker, he has ties to the CIA. Of course, he was supposedly a member of the media. Anybody who is a member of the media, from CNN to NPR to MSNBC to any of these so-called media outlets, is a government asset. You don't get hired off the streets if you are a great talker, if you look great and have a face for television. You're not getting put on there unless you're one of them, which means you have to be a member of these secret societies. And for people that don't know, the Pilgrims is another secret society. It is a British-American society founded in 1902 to promote goodwill and peace between the United States and Great Britain. It's also known for its elite membership, including politicians, diplomats, and businessmen, and for its role in fostering Anglo-American relations. And again, another one of these organizations, a secret society, which really you would look at it and you'd say, well, if you're a member of that and you're in the government in America, you're guilty of treason, right? Well, the media is pretty much the same thing as the government, because this is state-run media. All of it is on television, from Fox to NBC. You know, they might just play different sides of the aisle, but they control both sides of the aisle. So the Pilgrims is a secret society. Members include people like George Shultz, Walter Cronkite, Malcolm Forbes, right? These are all very big, prominent names. And of course, Henry Kissinger. And you know who else you'll find on that list of the Pilgrim Society, dating back to 2002, documents from 2002, documents from 2014. You'll find the name Tucker Carlson right on that list. And it's not a different Tucker Carlson, because like most of these secret societies, you have to be a graduate of these prominent Ivy League schools, which obviously they control. They give you the illusion that, oh man, you know, you should shoot for the stars and get into Yale. Well, it doesn't mean that somebody might not get into Yale just for having, you know, a 4.2 GPA or whatever the highest GPA you could have is. Yes, sure, some people might get in, probably couldn't afford to get in, maybe get a scholarship if they think there's potential to groom them, because we know they do bring people in from the outside who show, you know, that they could be very successful, who show that they're, you know, remember, when you go through the school system, if you have a high GPA, all it means is that you're repeating the lies that you're hearing better than other people around you. That's really what it means. They tell you it makes you smarter. But really, school is what? You get repetition, repetition, repetition. Who can memorize the most and they go out and get the highest score in their test because they memorized the most. Well, they memorized the most lies, which means they're most likely to believe in the lies and think of it as true. So they see something in them based on that. And of course, they're well educated, they're told, but they're really just well indoctrinated. So they'll see somebody with 4.2, they'll probably interview them to come into a school like Yale, and they'll say, do you think there's a chance that we could groom them in one of our secret societies here? I mean, our fraternities. And they'll say yes or no. And if they say yes, they'll bring you in. They'll push you towards one of these quote-unquote frats. But as we know, all of the Ivy League schools, from Skull and Bones to Lock and Key, they all have their own versions of Skull and Bones. Okay, from Stanford to NYU. All the Ivy League schools have their own. Princeton, they have their own secret societies that they use to groom potential people to become world leaders, to be put into these positions. But they obviously have to go through a process. They have to go through their quote-unquote initiation, but really they have to see what traits they have and how controllable they are before they ship them out into the real world. And of course,